So these are my Saturday superlatives, and even though I say Saturday, I'm counting anybody who played in that past week. So guys who are in the Thursday or Wednesday or Friday night games are counted as well. Quarterbacks. Well, I have to start with this crazy, crazy game in the ACC where the two Sams, right? Sam, shout out to Chinatown, but Sam Howell, who NFL scouts are obviously already drooling over this guy, even though he's just a true sophomore. But 32 of 45, 550. You heard me right, 550 yards, passing, 6 touchdowns, passing, and 1 touchdown rushing. And he had, I think, 7 carries for 21 yards and that touchdown. And then facing him was Sam Hartman, who only had 429 yards passing, 29 of 45, 4 touchdowns. And even though he won't be a guy that scouts drool over, Sam Hartman's a guy who I think will carve out a place for himself in the NFL, probably as a backup. But I think about Austin, what was his last name from Southern Miss, who broke all of Brett Favre's records. I'm blanking on his name, but he reminds you kind of that kid. You know, a guy that'll hang around for a few years as a backup. Moving on, UTSA, Mr. Harris. And I say Mr. Harris because just pure respect. What didn't he do in that game? He had a big game passing, 22 of 36 for 312 yards and 3 TDs, and then a big time rushing the ball. A couple of touchdowns rushing, 5 carries, and I think it was 43, 53. I don't remember that amount of yardage, but he made some big plays with his feet, and then he had more yardage than he's going to be given credit for because they take sack yards away from you in college, but big time. And one of my guys, a guy I've been big on since his redshirt freshman year, is Desmond Ridder at Cincinnati. And of course, Cincinnati continues to roll. I hope they run the table, and I hope he gets a chance to play in the college football playoffs, because then he'll get a chance to show his wares to the entire college football world, and it'll be a real test of both him and his Bearcat teammates. But he went 24 of 31, 327 yards, super efficient, 3 touchdowns, and it had 8 carries for 75 yards and a touchdown. He's a true dual threat. He's got a little bit of Randall Cunningham-ish to him, not quite that special as an athlete. He's not quite as fast, not quite as flexible, but he's faster than you think because he has, long legs, and he's able to, once he gets going, really accelerate. And I can't leave out a guy who's been here practically every week because he's earned it. I try not to keep repeating guys unless they make me. Well, Kyle Trask has made me repeat him. 23, sorry, Kyle. 23 of 29, 356 yards, 6 touchdowns, and did that without Kyle Pitts, his favorite tight end target. And I have to mention Marshall. Obviously, yesterday was the 50th anniversary of the tragic plane crash that cost 75 lives and the lives of 37 members of the Marshall family. So players, staff, coaches, and their play-by-play voice. And they played tribute to them, and Grant Wells did Grant Wells things. 25 of 37, 5 touchdowns, 336 yards. And he's a guy that, sort of like Matt Ryan, like he doesn't look as special as he is. Like sometimes you can sort of fall asleep on him because he doesn't seem to be doing anything amazing, but the ball gets there in a hurry, even though he doesn't seem like he has a huge arm. He's one of the guys that has, sort of sneaky fast is what we call it when you're watching a pitcher. The guy's got sneaky gas, like he doesn't look like he's throwing the ball hard, but it gets there 94, 95. He's kind of like that. And I have to talk about maybe the number one dual threat quarterback, and sorry to any of the guys at Power 5, so this might be Malik Willis, himself an Auburn transfer, but he went 14 of 19, so 5 balls hit the ground all day, 306 yards, 3 touchdowns, and then they had no answer for him as a runner. He went for 97 yards on 8 carries and 2 touchdowns. Once again, they probably won't make the college football playoff, but I hope they get in a big-time bowl game and face, a Power 5, because people are not quite getting how good Liberty is. And great job by you, Freeze. And I have to also talk about the other guy that broke the 500-yard mark, Matt Corral, a guy who's a California kid, found his way all the way to the Deep South down in Ole Miss, and he's in Kiffin's offense, which is perfect for him. 28 of 32, once again, incredible efficiency, 513 yards. Now, against a very porous defense, obviously, but still, 4 touchdowns. He also ran 10 times for 20 yards of more than 20 yards, once again, sack yards counts against, and a rushing touchdown. He's not really a full-on dual threat, but he's a guy that can move around and create a little more with his feet than you might suspect. Here's a guy, a first guy I've really started paying attention to, and I love Fresno State quarterbacks going back to, Kevin Sweeney probably. But Jake Hayner is a guy that's going to carve his way into the Bulldogs of the Central Valley's record books. 29 of 38, 422 yards, 4 TDs and 1 interception. And I have to. It'd be remiss not to mention a guy that I like more than most for some reason, but I really like Ian Book. And once again, maybe he's not a starter at the next level. Maybe he is. Like, don't write him off. But 20 of 27, 283 yards, 3 touchdowns. He also moves really well. 10 carries, 85 yards, and a touchdown rushing. I just think there's more to him than most people do. But, we'll see. So, that's the quarterbacks. On to the pass catchers.